I want you to understand something right from the start. There are smells in this world that get burned into your memory on a DNA level. The smell of wet wool, the smell of gasoline from your childhood, and the smell of sickness. I was breathing it in deeply, standing on the concrete pad of a government auction lot in Nevada back in August of last year. I didn't know it then. I thought it was just the smell of old metal and the bleach they used to mop the floors down at the police precinct. If you're watching this video right now, stop. Go check if your front door is locked. Because what I found inside container number 774B changed not just my life, but the way I sleep at night. My name is Nate Miller, and this isn't some creepypasta fiction. This is my confession about how I bought a coffin on wheels for $800. Okay, for those of you who don't know the game, government auctions are a lottery for idiots like me. You're buying a pig in a poke, literally. It could be FBI confiscated goods, old military junk, or a forgotten semi-truck from a trucker who died of a heart attack behind the wheel. Lot number 774B looked like shit. A rusty 20-foot container with a custom seal and a huge padlock on which someone had scratched with a nail. Do not open, resealed. But that only egged me on. I'm an American, goddammit. The word "don't" sounds like a challenge to me. I outbid some nervous Mexican guy in a cowboy hat and won the lot for $800. The lot manager, a guy named Earl with a face like a baked potato, looked at me and spat tobacco juice. "Son," he said, "I ain't even gonna loan you an angle grinder. You open that yourself, and if it starts stinking, I'm calling the cops without warning." I just laughed. I shouldn't have. I drove up in my old Ford F-150. The lock gave way surprisingly easy. You know that feeling when you open a door to a house where no one has lived for years? The air that comes out, it's thick. It presses against your eardrums. The container reeked of dry ice, formaldehyde, and something sweet, almost cloying. Inside, lit only by the setting Nevada sun, was chaos. The first thing I pulled out was a stack of old newspapers. The San Francisco Chronicle, 1997. The headline read, "Sewer disappearance, 3 workers still missing." Under the newspapers, there were things. A neatly folded hazmat suit, yellow, old style, with a Department of Public Works patch, a map of the city tunnels under San Francisco with dead ends circled in red marker and arrows leading somewhere deeper beyond the edge of the map, and an envelope. Thick, manila paper, addressed not to me, but to someone named Dr. H.P. Inside the envelope was a dictaphone tape, yeah, a damn old microcassette, and an Olympus recorder with half-dead batteries. I thought I'd found props from an old horror movie. I was excited. I got into the cab of my truck, popped the tape in, and hit play. And that's when the part of the story started that has kept me from looking at my own shadow for the past year. The recording was shitty, hissing, the echo of a concrete pipe, and heavy, ragged human breathing. The voice on the tape said, "Day. I don't know what day it is. Batteries are dying. Hank is gone. He just dissolved in that black sludge near turn D12. We thought it was groundwater. God, we were wrong. It's not water. It's saliva." I fast-forwarded. My heart was already pounding in my throat. The quiet whisper on the tape continued. "They told us to just weld the pipe shut and forget it. But we found bones, human bones, and the bones of whatever was eating those humans. The tunnels go deeper than the city plans show, much deeper. There's a chamber. We found it behind a false brick wall. The walls are covered in formulas, not math, biology, recipes, how to prepare a human body, as bait for it. And then, in the background of the tape, there was a sound. I flinched so hard I hit my elbow on the window. It wasn't a scream. It was a low, vibrating hum. The sound an elevator cable makes right before it snaps. And the voice on the tape said the last line. The line I now realize was the whole reason this container was stored here. If you're listening to this, it means it found a way up. It smelled the container. It thinks it's a feeding trough. Burn the tape. But whatever you do, don't open the door when it rains. End of recording. Click. I sat in the truck, and the only sound was my own heartbeat. I looked in the rearview mirror at the container, and that's when I noticed a detail I'd missed in the heat and excitement. The lock I'd cut off, it was hanging on the outside, but someone had scratched "Do Not Open" on the inside of the door. Someone locked themselves in that container and left a warning for whoever would be breaking in from my side. I got out of the truck. The sun was down. The desert had turned purple, and in the silence, I heard the sound from the tape. Only this time, it wasn't coming from the speakers. It was coming from under the ground, from under the thin layer of concrete on the auction yard. A low, guttural hum that made the fillings in my teeth vibrate. I didn't wait. I didn't take anything. I jumped in the truck and floored the gas. I heard something heavy slam against the steel wall of the container behind me. Just once. I didn't stick around to watch. Earl, the auction manager, stopped answering calls 2 days later. The auction itself has been temporarily closed for renovation for a year and a half, according to Google Maps. I burned the tape, just like it said. But before I did, like an idiot, I copied the audio to my phone. And this last month, when I'm doing the dishes at my kitchen sink in Reno, I hear that sound in the water pipes. A faint, barely audible hum. If you live on the West Coast and you have old plumbing, listen closely tonight. If you don't hear the gurgle of water, but a deep mechanical groan, do not go near the shower drain. It's just checking to see if its feeding trough is still here. This was Nate Miller. Good night. And please, don't open the door when it rains.